actually what led me to decide to do this record was I really initially Integrity came to me and they said, hey, we would like to do a record with you, and we're obviously a worship label. And I was like, but that I know how to worship. I've been worshiping in church my whole life. That's just a natural thing, but I don't know much about the genre of worship. Why would you want me to do this? And so they sent me a batch of songs, and I remember that night I got home and the boys, they went to bed, and about 2 a.m., my youngest, Soren, he was calling out to me. He goes, Mommy, Mommy. I, went up in the middle of the night, went to his room, and I said, what's wrong, buddy? He goes, I had 2 bad dreams. And I said, oh, buddy, what were they? He said, well, one was that there were 2 cars speeding real fast, and they hit each other. And I said, oh, buddy, that is a bad dream. But that didn't happen, so you're okay. And I go, what was your other dream? He said, well, my other dream was that Satan was trying to take over the world.
Wow.
And I said, ooh, I'm putting my mom brain on. Okay, how do I handle this? I don't want to freak this little boy out. So I told him, I said, well, let me tell you a little secret, okay? I said, Satan is trying to take over the world. And he said, he is? I said, yep. I said, but do you love God? He goes, yes. I said, does Jesus live in your heart? He said, yes. I said, well, then you're going to be okay. Because can't you feel it? Jesus is in this room. Because you love him. He wants to be close to you. And Satan has nothing. Because you know God? You know God, he can part the seas. He can move mountains. And then once those words came out of my mouth, I thought of a song that they had sent me. The batch they had sent me earlier, and I ran to my room. I said, I'll be right back, baby. I went to my room, grabbed my phone, and I pulled a song up called God Who Moves Mountains. And I played it. I put the little phone next to his ear, and I played the song for him. It went through the verse, and I remember when it got to the chorus, I couldn't help but close my eyes and just raise my hands up in the air. In the dark, just nightlight room. At the end of the chorus, I opened my eyes and I looked at Soren, the baby, and I said, he had like tears coming down his face. Uh-huh. And I said, baby, are you okay? He goes, yes. And I said, it was so strange. You could feel like the presence of God in the room. You could feel the warmth. You could feel angels. You could feel this like glow of just peace in the room. And I said, do you feel that? Jesus is right here. He's here. His angels are surrounding you, holding you. I said, so you never have to be scared. God can move mountains, and you never have to be fearful, because God can take that fear. You have to trust and believe in him. And I said, do you trust him? He said, yes. I said, okay. Since that night, my little one has not had another nightmare.
Oh, wow. That's a beautiful story.
That was the catalyst behind me being willing to do the record, because if it could touch my son, if a worship song like that could touch my son in such a huge way that he could feel the presence of God, because his tears weren't sad tears. They were like peace and holy, good tears.
Yeah.
And I just was like, okay, God, you spoke to me the only way that you could, and that was through at the time he was 7 years old, my 7-year-old son. I said, okay, I'll do the record. Here we go.